Hola, bienvenidos a Pero Cada Quien.
Alright, guys, so finally we are recording our very first EP. We're really, really excited and happy to be able to give this content
Definitely
to you guys. And yeah, I don't know, not anything else to add.
I feel like we should mention that we did promise to have an EP out this weekend.
Oh yeah,
but unfortunately stuff happened. You know, we're human, life happens, and we weren't able to put it out. But we are here now, eager to get this out. Good content. I feel like we've put a lot of thought into this episode, and we've just been really wanting to talk about it and get this shit
rolling.
Oh god,
yeah, no,
shit.
Get the ball rolling.
No, literally.
Because it's long overdue.
Yep.
But yeah, so let's just jump into what we're gonna talk about on this EP. Obviously, as you guys can see, our title is Nopal en la Frente.
Shout out to Jenny for making an incredible preview post. She did so good on that. So yes, our EP title is El Nopal en la Frente. So yeah, let's get into it.
So before we fully, I guess, get into it, I kind of want to give context or like just like a little background on why people say Nopal en la Frente. Like, where does that, I guess, quote unquote, originate from? So as we all know, the Mexican flag consists of a cactus, an eagle either clawing at the snake, if I'm correct, or
in its mouth.
One of the two.
Can't remember.
So when people say the phrase, when people say the phrase, "Oh, ese trae nopal en la frente," they are correlating it to the Mexican flag because of because of the cactus that's on the Mexican flag. So they're basically saying like, "Oh, like
he's got the cactus attached to him." Literally, in translation, it is the pear on someone's forehead.
Yeah,
right?
With the prickly pear cactus on the forehead. Yeah. That's what the translation literally means.
Yeah. And so whenever someone tells you, este güey tiene el nopal en la frente, technically, whenever that phrase is being used, it means that someone is, you can clearly tell, quote unquote, is Mexican, but are denying their roots, quote, like also quote unquote.
Yeah. Because
what does that mean? The question still stands. What does, you can tell they're Mexican? What does that mean?
Yeah,
And so, as Jenny mentioned in our live, we went to the extent to even interview, our family members, friends who originate from Mexico, and that even don't, but, are very familiar with the culture.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does it mean to y'all about El Nopal en la Frente? Like, what does that translate to y'all? And every single person that we've asked always says the same thing.
Like, you can tell because their color, which would be morenito, brown, which, by the way, that's going to be
another episode.
Yeah, a whole other episode about
let's not say
colorism, but let's not say. And they also mentioned how, you could tell because of their last name, or, you could tell because of their accent, and stuff like that. But then if you really, like, I guess, sit down and think, like, well, there is brown people that
are not
Mexican.
Right.
We
got our Filipino queens and kings,
our Ecuadorian kings and kings, our Salvadorian queens and kings. Like,
literally,
it's just, it's something that I feel like you shouldn't assume.
Yes. We're literally racially profiling people by saying that. You know what I mean? Just because if they look a certain way, we automatically assume that they're Mexican. And you know what? I'll keep it a buck with y'all. I think even I've been one to do that. I'll see someone that, I'm like, maybe like they're Mexican. And I'm like, like I'm speaking Spanish to them. And they're like, wait, I'm not Mexican.
Yeah.
Automatically, I'm like, fuck.
Yeah, like, you feel, you feel bad. And I'm also, what is it, culpable of that.
Yes.
I have done the same thing, and I've learned to not do that because some people just
are not,
and
right.
But another thing is, I think it's very very shameful and like guilt trippy almost
to use that phrase, bro.
No,
literally.
Because I feel like when you tell someone, well, like, no, este trae nopal en la frente, and, you know, they, quote unquote, I say again, they look Mexican, or their name's Mexican, or, you know, they have the accent, well, they should know Spanish. But it's just like,
there's a lot of guilt tied with that.
There's a lot of guilt, because then you start thinking like, oh, well, like, am I not Mexican enough?
Bro. Mexican enough. Oh my God, let's get into it.
Yeah. Like,
I think whenever we were like putting our heads together to talk about this episode, I feel one of our biggest things were like how like that guilt is tied to us, quote unquote, denying our roots. You know what I mean? And that is such a like important topic to talk about, especially because a lot of the times, bruh, like, it's not our fault. You know what I mean? A lot of most people, Mexican American people that grew up in America, their first language wasn't Spanish.
Yeah, for sure.
Because like let's say for example, if my parents were from Mexico and they bring me here to obviously be a Mexican American, I'm gonna learn English. You know what I mean? And so throughout the years, that just kind of starts to die down. Yeah. And that doesn't make it necessarily our faults. You know what I mean?
For like, sure. It just
we just adapt.
Yeah, we just,
and that was the point.
Yeah. And also, I've heard personally from people that sometimes, and I don't know if this is like, someone please enlighten me on this, but I've heard that sometimes parents that are immigrants purposely won't show their kids English because they think if they show them that, like, it's like better opportunities if they just know English, you know? But I mean, for me, I feel like I wouldn't say like that strips you away from any opportunities. Like, if anything, I mean, you have an advantage
from knowing English,
from knowing both.
Oh, yes.
But I say, like, I mean, like, I've heard people say, like, their parents that are immigrants from Mexico, right, purposely did not show their kids Spanish.
Oh, I see. Spanish.
Because they thought that if they only knew English that they'd have
more an advantage.
More an advantage.
Advantage, bruh.
And that's called, like you say, adapting. So, right?
They have to. For survival, literally. I mean, if my parents don't know a lick of English, I'm gonna take on that role because who else is gonna do it for me? Yeah. And obviously, naturally, if I'm gonna be enrolled in school, I'm gonna learn it regardless. Yeah. You feel me?
But then
you instead of viewing it from like the adaptive mindset, and you're like, oh yeah, like, you know, like trailblazer, he's doing it for the fam. No, then you get another Mexican that does know Spanish, and boom, you're shamed. Yes. You're automatically shamed. It's automatically a bad thing that you don't know Spanish. I am very grateful to actually know Spanish, you know what I mean? Like, and I think it's a very beautiful thing to be bilingual. But to those Mexicans who are not, I mean, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a different mindset,
yes,
right?
For sure.
And it's so harmful. Yes. And it's so, like you said, guilt trippy. I will totally agree with that.
Yeah, guilt trippy. And also, another thing I will say, it's very conflicting. Because, for me at least, I was born here in the United States. Yes. But I do have family that is from Mexico, that were born in Mexico, and I say Mexico, but it's Mexico. But even for me growing up, I have always been like the quote unquote black sheep of the family, and it was very hard trying to fit in to my culture and then trying to fit into the American culture. It was very, very hard. Yep. Because and one side's telling you, like, oh, no, like, eres mexicana, like, ¿por qué te gusta escuchar esa música? O, ¿por qué te vistes así? Sí. You know, things like that. Or then you have, you know,
having to fit a narrative.
Yeah. And then you have the Americans kind of not making fun of, but in a way.
But yes, make fun of. I mean, I've been personal. Yes. Sorry, babe, I'm a victim of that. Like, yeah. Literally.
Yeah, you know what? I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I have been made fun of because of when I first moved here, because I came from a border town, Del Rio, Texas. Shout out to them. Yeah, I was made fun of because I did come to Midland with an accent. Right. Obviously that accent has gone away because I was kind of like
adapting,
quote unquote adapting, but I was kind of shamed into letting like go of that accent.
I can totally feel that,
out of that accent.
Bruh, maybe a lot of like Mexican Americans can relate to that. Growing up in West Texas, bruh, like I've never been shamed for my accent more than I have been here. I mean, granted, I've never been anywhere else, but dude, the amount of comments that I've gotten on my accent, yes, and I feel like now is not even bad, but bro, back then, like, if y'all knew me back then, bro, like y'all would know.
Yeah, no, I agree with her. I like she said, if anyone of you knew me back then, like in my middle school kind of elementary era, the accent was very prominent there. Right. Like, but yeah, that is one of the things that I feel like I've been shamed out of, and also just like my likings. Yeah, I feel like
you weren't allowed to like certain things
because it wasn't like quote unquote Mexican enough. And even like in dressing, I feel like like clothing, like literally clothing, fashion wise, it was looked down upon. Like they'd be like, bro, like what's that weird shit? Like they would be like, that's a rarita or
bro, yes. Oh, shit. And especially I just want to add on to that, like growing up on the norteño side of like Mexico, you know what I mean? I know me and Jenny had this conversation before. Yes. She is not from, like, her family is not del norte, they're
we're from South Coahuila.
Woo, shout out Coahuila. Zaragoza, Piedras Negras, Acuña. And shout out El Norte, Durango, Chihuahua, all those. And so so I feel like culture in itself then is different for different Mexicans. Not different Mexicans, obviously, we're still Mexicans.
Like it branches off.
Yes, bro, there's different, like, cultures in of itself, you know. And so the norteño style is like botas y pantalones de mezclilla, you know what I mean, y rancheras. And don't get me wrong, I am very much that, babe. I am very much that, but I definitely do feel like I was like, you know, when I wasn't, I was like shamed out of that, like, what are you wearing, babes? No, you know what I mean?
And I actually know I have a story that I can bring up for this, so it's very cringe and I'm very, very like embarrassed from it. But in high school, you know, the whole, like...
The kicker era?
The kicker, like, wearing the cinch, wearing, like, boots and, what is it, rock revival pants. That...
The fucking Miss Me jeans, baby!
Yes! So, I remember in senior year, I would see that everyone was dressing this way. And even before that. But obviously, in high school, I was having, like, a...
For context, you were already in West Texas, but...
Yes. I was already... colonized by West Texas.
Oh yes, so a little background. In West Texas, there's like predominantly like norteños here because we are a border town, but there is Presidio, which is tied to El Norte. You know what I mean? So that is a border town that we have here in West Texas, I believe. Don't fact check me on that, but you know.
She's like, don't fact check me. But yeah, I remember being a senior in high school and seeing that everyone was wearing that, and obviously me to heart I was a very nerdy geeky person. Like I love Marvel, like I loved very different things that my culture, I guess, wouldn't really take interest in. Right. So I remember asking my dad, like, I want a cinch jacket. That's
so cute.
I was like, I want a cinch jacket. I want what are the pants? Rock Revivals. I want boots. And I remember waking up one morning, I had my, you know, I was ready to conquer.
Out, baby.
Yeah, I was ready to conquer, and you know, and I remember putting it on and looking in the mirror and be like, bro, like, this shit's not me, bro.
Like, it's a fucking disguise, bro. Like, yes. I literally feel like I'm in a costume.
Yes. Oh my god.
I mean, I'm just assuming what you would feel.
No.
Again, I'm very much that, babes. So I feel like I can just put myself in your position, and I feel like it would feel like you're looking at a stranger.
Yes, it's like
this isn't me.
Yeah, it was very like cosplay. Almost.
Oh yeah, I feel
like I was cosplaying, trying to quote unquote fit into my culture or my roots, I guess. And I remember like having a horror where I would just listen to Ariel Camacho,
that West Texas effect.
Yeah, right, literally. Ariel Camacho, what else was hot? Tercer Elemento.
Right. Shout out to their new song that they're gonna make with Peso Pluma. Woo!
Oh shit,
yeah, bro, I'm excited for that. Okay, sorry.
But yes, I remember I would just ignore listening to like rock and roll music, like that fucking Bring Me the Horizon shit.
Totally neglect who you were as a person.
Yeah, and you know, just
for the sake of fitting in.
Yes, for fitting into my roots, because I felt like an outcast almost. But then as I grew older, and I realized like
you're allowed to be who you want.
Yeah, and that doesn't mean I necessarily am less than.
Right.
I'm still as equally Mexican as, you know, anyone else. Like
literally, yeah. Thank you for sharing that story with us, by the way.
Thank you.
And on behalf of those people that didn't make you feel like you fit in, I want you to know that you very much do.
Thank you. Starts crying.
But so to add on to that thing, like having to fit a narrative, like we're too American to be Mexican and we're too Mexican to be American. I just really want to like mention this, bruh. Don't fact check me on this. If I'm not mistaken, Becky G, I think, is the person I heard mention it or talk about it. The saying 200%er. I have never resonated with that so much in my freaking life, bruh. I've always been told, like, you gotta pick a side, bro. Like, either o eres mexicana or eres americana, bro. Like,
uno de los dos.
Uno de los dos, bro. Uh-huh. And so, I'm always like, and I've been shamed into, I agree, like, I've also tried to fit in, maybe necessarily not in my clothing. Growing up in West Texas, we're a lot of country people out here. So, I guess in that, I can't relate to that. But I can definitely relate into, like, the having to be shamed out of, like, my accent. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, I had to fit in. I had to literally work on my pronunciation and everything above. And now I freaking slur my words just because it's so hard, especially when my mind is going faster than my mouth is, So I can totally relate to you on that, in that aspect. But going back to the 50-50%. So, like, it's 50-50, right? Mexican-American, 50 Mexican, 50 American. So, I believe in what Becky G was saying is, like, the 200%er, I'm not gonna pick a side. Yeah. I am fully Mexican, and I am fully American. Me personally, I come from an immigrant household, you know what I mean? My mom and my dad are from Mexico. And so, that is I do think that is my culture. Those are my roots as well, you know what I mean? And so, me having to feel like I had to pick a side and, like, 50-50, I really did feel like I was stripped out of, like, me having that, like, I'm equally as entitled to being Mexican as anyone else. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yes, I was born here, but that does not take away my culture. That does not take away my ability to say, que yo soy mexicana, and my God, am I freaking proud of that. Yes. Like, bro, God. Like, and I want to be able to be proud of that, but every time that I'm like, nah, it is una... Again, these are things that I've been told, nah, tú eres chicana, which is not a bad thing. You know what I mean? But a lot of times, like, being Mexicans who are born in America, they're called chicanas. Or, you know what I mean? Like, you're a half-breed, whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so those are all just derogatory terms.
And I was about to say that, and that in itself is derogatory.
Yes. Like, I feel like I'm totally stripped away from being able to, just purely love my Mexican side. You know what I mean? Yes, I'm not born there, but my God, I'm, like, stuck there, bro. Yeah. Like, literally. So, sorry, I just wanted to add to that. I am not 50-50. I am a 200%er. I am 100% Mexicana, and I am 100% Americana.
For sure.
And I love it. And I would not, I'm very thankful, God bless, that I am able to have that luxury, because that is a luxury. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't have that. Mm-hmm. So, I just wanted to add that into there.
And thank you for sharing. I 100% agree with that. I feel like even with... I don't know if you can kind of agree with me in a sense, but I feel like even talking Spanish, I was kind of embarrassed at some point.
Yes.
It was like...
To slip up a word.
Oh, you're no sabo kid.
Oh my gosh, bro. That's what we were going to mention that about. Yeah. Bro, the no fucking sabo, dude.
But even if, quote unquote, you are a no sabo kid, and... Because it takes us back to the Nopal and Frente, right? True. Even if you are quote unquote someone that doesn't really know Spanish, or you might not even know it, but you want to get to know
the language. Yeah, literally.
And people call you out and say, like, you're a no sabo kid. Do not let that discourage you from
from still trying or wanting.
Wanting to, and even if you don't want to, I mean.
And you make the effort, bruh. Like, yes. I'm sorry, but that is so beautiful. And, like, that I'm telling you, bruh, don't ever tell anyone that they're no sabo, bruh. That is so freaking rude. Yes. Like, bruh, like, están haciendo el intento, bruh. You know what I mean?
That is very disrespectful.
Like, and again, to add on from that, yes, bro, if you're someone who is of Mexican descent and doesn't know Spanish, but are still making an effort to talk to your, I don't know, like, your grandparents or your uncles and your aunts, bruh, there's something so beautiful in that. Yes. In that effort. And again, if you are not of Mexican descent and you really just really appreciate the culture and go out of your way to try to learn it, my God, that is so, like, that just makes me so angry. And you know what? Vice versa. To those people, shout out to y'all who are immigrant people, immigrant families, immigrant elders who came to this, to the U.S., who came to the U.S. in hopes for a better life, and you made the effort to learn English. Yes. And you freaking put in time and motherfucking effort, bruh, to make sure that you made it in this freaking world.
No matter who or what they told you.
Literally, bruh, like, you're outstanding for that, bruh. Like, and I don't know. I don't even know if there's an English term for a no sabo, like an English equivalent. But bruh, like, don't ever let anyone like make fun of your freaking accent for talking English.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
To, especially.
Like, bruh, oh my gosh, it's just so ugly in all ways.
Yes, on both sides.
You know what I mean? Both sides, yes.
Because it's like, we go back to the same thing. It's shameful. It's It's like, like it discourages you almost to want to, learn it or whatever. But yeah, I don't think not knowing Spanish or makes you less of Mexican or
Hispanic, because I know, or Latina, I know there's a lot of other
yes Latino
I know there's a lot of other cultures out there that are not just Mexican. Yes. So even just Latina, for the Latina people out there, shout out to y'all too. Don't let it discourage you, bro. Like, that is just so, I cannot express that enough. It's so ugly.
Yeah.
I know we mentioned about the colorism, so did you want to get into that a little bit?
Yeah, I do feel like I'll just mention it. Our culture is colorist.
Yes.
Very colorist, and I am a victim of that. But I feel like that's a story for the other episode, but yeah, I don't know if you would like to add anything else to close off the episode.
Yeah, so that was our take on el dicho el nopal en la frente. It is a little derogatory for those of you who ever decide to use it. Just keep that in mind. It's pretty harmful, very toxic. Nice sometimes. It's not nice
at all, actually.
And again, it's just that reminder that it is like a racial profile. So that kind of ties this episode. Thank you guys for listening. Yes, and just remember that cada quien.
Pero cada quien.
Literally, pero cada quien.
Yeah. But thank you guys, and
stay tuned for our next episode. We'll be posting on our platforms whenever that is coming out. We're trying to do weekends, but again, we're human. Life happens. So just bear with us. And
and also thank you for the people that are actually going to take time to
listen
to us. It means a lot. We're not really big.
Right.
But
we're getting there.
We'll be there. But yeah, and overall, just thank you, and
please continue to love us and support us
through it all, man.
Yep. And remember,
pero cada quien.
Bye.
Bye.